So good morning everyone and welcome to today's edition of SMS. So there are some requests from the members that maybe since this bunching of show cause notices and orders, this has become a critical issue in some of the states and also in the central jurisdictions. So maybe we should have a discussion on this. So we had requested Amit Agarwalji to kindly consent for a Saturday morning that we'll be spending on the deliberations on the bunching of show cause notices. So I'd hand over the mic to Amit Agarwalji. Amitji, over to you. I'll just share the document in some time, in
Yeah.
1 minute.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, there was some technical glitch, so I couldn't join within the time.
And Amitji, if you could kindly give a very brief introduction of yourself, like where you come from and
Sure.
yeah.
I am a chartered accountant from Pune and have spent almost 18 plus years in consulting, primarily with Ernst& Young, where I was director in indirect tax, then also with BDO India and Lakshmi Kumar and Sridharan attorneys. So that's the brief introduction about myself. And now, since last 1.5 years, I do anything and everything except for GST and indirect tax. I founded my firm, MySmart CFO, where we do all these outsourcing of accounting and tax work for global businesses and CPA firms overseas. Yeah. Arupji, you're sharing the document.
Yeah. You can just give a background, then I'm just sharing in the meantime.
Okay. So, the today's topic of discussion is clubbing, the issue which is coming up, clubbing or bunching of multiple financial years in one show cause notice, whether it is permissible or whether it is not permissible, is to be looked at. And to my mind, this issue was never under consideration or a bone of contention under Income Tax Act or VAT CST Acts or even under Central Excise and Service Tax regulations. So it would be important to understand how different are those provisions versus GST provisions, and what should be our strategy, whether we should take this argument in every matter or it should be taken selectively. There are some questions which we will be looking at. So the structure of the present. No, not this. I've shared the WhatsApp,
As a word, okay.
the Word document.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the structure of the document, I've not made any flashy PPT. The structure of document is I've listed down certain key judgments which are in favoring the point whether multiple financials here can be clubbed together, and there are set of decisions which say that such show cause notice is without any jurisdiction. Is void ab initio because the GST provisions do not allow clubbing of multiple financial years in one single show cause notice. You have to issue separate show cause notice for each financial year. So there are plethora of judgments on this particular point. So once the screen is visible, we can just. Arupji, you are able to share the screen?
I'm able to share, but the Word document is.
Look, the Word document is in the faculty group.
Yeah,
Last mail.
but I can't take it to my mail. That is the problem. Uh,
Ah,
Amitji, same document sent yesterday. That is the document.
No, I will send you on email. I have refined it for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you on email. Yeah. So Arupji, I've shared you on
Yeah, I
email.
got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. ठीक. Yes. So it is this. This is the document, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. So if you see on the left-hand side of the table, there are these decisions which are supporting clubbing or bunching of multiple financial years in one show cause notice. Primarily, I could see only Delhi High Court decisions, two decisions on this point, and Jammu and Kashmir High Court, again, two decisions on this point. I'm not sure whether there are any more decisions supporting this contention. And on the right hand side, you'll see that there are multiple decisions of various high courts which have categorically stated that bunching of show cause notice into one for multiple financial years is not permissible. And there are division bench decisions of various high courts and single member bench decisions as well. I've listed down some of the key decisions which I have displayed on the screen. So now we will go through the bare findings or the text of the arguments and the observation of the High Court on this particular issue. So the first case law which I would like to discuss is this Mile Rock Good Earth Developers. It is the Bombay High Court decision on this issue. So if you see here also, the department had issued a show cause notice covering multiple financial years, and they had invoked section 74(1) and 74(a) to demand the disputed tax amount. And Arup, you'll have to scroll through. What I have done is I have highlighted the points to be discussed in green background, not the head note in the body of the judgment. So if you could just scroll down the Word document. So you have to come to point number 10 of the judgment. Just scroll down. So here, the department, as usual, said that writ petition cannot be filed because there is an alternative remedy available. So the High Court in this case observed that since the issue raises jurisdictional issue, and if the authority lacks jurisdiction to have composite assessment for different tax periods, assessment years, and the formality to respond to the show cause notice shall not be encouraged, and therefore the High Court admitted the writ petition in this matter. Now, if we go down, the High Court has reproduced in the judgment various provisions. So, the important provision is the definition of the term return, which appears in section 2, subsection 97, where it says that return means any return prescribed or otherwise required to be furnished by or under this act or the rules made thereunder. So again, as per 297, the return should be as prescribed. And if you see, I think Rule 61, if I'm correct, the return prescribed for purpose of Section 39 is GSTR 3B. Nowhere it states that annual return, which is prescribed under Section 44, would be considered as return for purpose of Section 39. So primarily, I think Section 2, subsection 97, when it says return, it talks about the return notified under Section 39 read with Rule 61, that is GSTR 3B, and not the annual return. So I will come to this point why this is important to be understood. And the next provision says the tax period. Tax period means the period for which the return is required to be furnished. So generally the return, if it is required to be furnished either on monthly basis or quarterly basis. So tax period for a monthly filer will be that particular month, and for a quarterly filer would be that particular quarter. And to my mind, tax period cannot be the financial year, because it says that period for which the return is required to be filed. So nowhere the return is required to be filed for a complete financial year. And Section 44 return is the summary of multiple returns which have been filed during that particular financial year. So if we have to technically look at 2106, to my mind, tax period is the particular month or the quarter for which the return is required to be filed. So with this background, let's proceed further into the arguments which the court has taken. I have omitted lot of paragraphs which are irrelevant so that we don't end up scrolling too much into the document. So this is not the complete text of the decision as it is. Okay. So para 16 of the decision says that in the scheme of CGST Act, a provision for assessment, we find Section 59 is a provision for self-assessment and furnish a return for each tax period as specified in Section 39. So again, Section 59 talks about a self-assessment, and it is qua each tax period. So I have already mentioned whether annual return is the return for that self assessment. Now, if you could scroll down a bit, para 18 of the decision. So I'm just reading out because it will be important to understand each word which has been stated by the court in the decision. So when we have perused the scheme of assessment and payment of tax, this is what High Court is saying. We find that the taxes payable under the Act commensurate with the return filed for each tax period, and this may be in form of self-assessment or provisional assessment as provided in the Act. However, what is important to note is that there is a prescription of period of 5 years of due date on which annual return is filed for the relevant financial year, and provision of payment and recovery is also included in statutory scheme in form of Section 73 and 74. So basically it talks about by when, if at all, department has to issue a show cause notice and have to pass an assessment order, then for the period prior to 23-24, we have to refer to Section 73 and 74. And if you read Section 7310 and 7410, it talks about that the assessment order post issuance of show cause notice should be passed within period of 3 months or 6 months prior to period of 5 years from the annual return. Okay, so therefore there is a upper time limit by when the assessing officer can pass a assessment order pursuant to the show cause notice or after the show cause notice, as per 7310, that is non-fraud cases, and 74, that is the fraud cases. And the show cause notice has to be issued within 3 months, from that period. So Section 73 says 3 years for passing the assessment order. 75 says 5 years for passing the assessment order, and 73 says that you have to issue the notice within 73 says we have to issue the notice within 3 months before the expiry date of the assessment order. Now this becomes a important issue, because we will have to read Section 73 and Section 74 properly. So if I read Section 73 subsection 1, I'm directly reading from the book. Everybody may refer to their barracks. I'm not displaying that document now because of the technology issue at my end. So 73.1 says that you can issue the proper officer can issue a show cause notice, and it doesn't talk about any period. Then subsection 2 says the proper officer shall issue the notice under subsection 1 at least 3 months prior to the time limit specified in subsection 10 for issuance of the order. So it talks about at least 3 months prior. It doesn't say that it has to be issued only at the 3 months point before that order date or the outer limit. So it can be issued 3 months prior, to my mind. It can be issued 1 year prior. It can be issued even 2 years prior if it is within that time frame. And the officer cannot be stopped to issue the show cause notice well in advance. Generally, we see that the show cause notices come at the fag end, but technically the law doesn't prevent the officer to issue the show cause notice well in advance. Now, why this observation or reading is important? Because that is the one of the arguments by the High Court when it is saying that bunching is not allowed. Okay, so this we have to keep in mind. Now, if we go to subsection 3, it says that where a notice has been issued for any period. I will stress upon subsection 3. It says that notice has been issued for any period. It is not talking about the tax period. It is not talking about the financial year. And so the note, as per 3, notice can be issued for any period. Okay. And now if we come to subsection 4, it says that service of such statement where notice has been issued for any period under subsection 1, I'm reading subsection 3 again, the proper officer may serve a statement containing the details of tax paid, etc., on the person chargeable with tax. Then we come to subsection 4. It says that service of such statement shall be deemed to be service of notice on such person under subsection 1, subject to condition that grounds relied upon for such tax periods other than those covered under subsection 1 are same as are mentioned in the earlier notice. So basically, this is for subsequent period. If I have to issue the if for the subsequent period the tax notice has to be issued, then it says that a statement of demand can be issued under subsection 4. And here it is important that subject to condition that the grounds relied upon for such tax periods. Now, the word periods is plural and it is not talking about period. Other than those covered under subsection 1 are same as mentioned in the earlier notice. So, the statement can cover multiple tax periods to my mind. It is not talking about a financial year. So can these periods could be containing multiple periods within multiple financial year or periods within a particular financial year only is something 73.4 is not talking about. And 73.10 says that proper officers shall issue the order under subsection 9 within 3 years from the due date for furnishing of annual return. So here the provision is, to my mind, outer limit to pass the assessment order to which 3 years from the due date of furnishing the annual return for the financial year to which the tax not paid or short paid or so and so. So again, 73.10 to my mind is nowhere saying that the assessment order has to be for the particular financial year only. It is only saying that any order confirming the demand for a particular tax period cannot go beyond, has to be done within the period of, the order should be passed within the period of 3 years from the annual return due date. So if there is a demand for multiple financial years, and if I'm meeting this 7310 condition, ideally there is nothing mentioned in 7310 that assessment order should be passed for the particular financial year. So this is the direct reading from the section, or the first principle reading from the section. While the courts have gone into or has tried to read between the lines and tried to interpret this 7310, 73 3 and 4 in a different manner. Okay. Now, if in this background where we have discussed the provisions, and 74 is more or less same like 73, only the time limit changes. And now we have another animal, section 74A, where the terminology of financial year is being used for 23-24 onwards. But ultimately, again, to my mind, it is similar to 73 and 74. Okay. So now if we read para 19 of the judgment, from the perusal of the entire scheme, it is evident that the statutory provision for assessment of tax for each financial year, except the show cause notice to be issued at least 3 months prior to the time limit in 73 or 7310 or 7410 for issuance of assessment order under subsection 10, provide that proper officer shall issue the order within a period of 5 years. That we have discussed, I think. The next paragraph, the Act of 2017 therefore involve a definite tax period based on filing of the return, which can be either monthly or annual return. And if the assessment is based on annual return, the tax period shall be relevant financial year. Now, this observation of the High Court is its own interpretation. Nowhere in the definition which we read right now says that annual return is can be the tax period. So, with due respect to my mind, the High Court in a way has jumped beyond the definition of tax period which is there in section 2, and has put its own interpretation, which is not coming directly from the definition in section 2, and there is no ambiguity also in the definition of tax period that the court had to step in to define the tax period in a different manner. I hope I'm audible and everybody is there with me.
Yes, Amitji, yes, you're audible and we are all with you.
Okay. So, in light of the statutory scheme, we find that there is no scope for consolidating various financial years tax period, which is attempted by the impugned show cause notice assailed by the petitioner, okay, by the petition. So that is why, based on this genesis, reading of 73, 3, 4, and 10, and its own interpretation of tax period, the High Court has come to a conclusion that multiple financial year cannot be bunched together. Now, para 20, thus the GST Act considered each and every financial year as a separate unit, due to which the limitation has been fixed for each and every financial year separately. When such being the case, the clubbing more than one financial year for the purpose of issuance of SCN would not be considered as in accordance with provision of 73-74. Okay, again, they are saying for this purpose. And now, this is another important fact. To come to this conclusion, the High Court has relied on the decision of State of Jammu and Kashmir versus Caltex. And it, to my mind, this paragraph, where an assessment encompasses different assessment years, each assessment year could be easily split up and dissected, and items can be separated and taxed for different periods. This reliance which the High Court has made on Caltex, to my mind, is again in fact contrary to what conclusion the High Court is making. So in this case, there was a issue about collection of sales tax on motor spirit in state of Jammu and Kashmir, and the period was somewhere in 1955, 58 something, and department had issued a consolidated show cause notice or order spanning multiple financial years. And I think the High Court below had said that since it is a consolidated amount for multiple years, and part of the period was going beyond the tax period, means it was not leviable, the tax was not leviable, and part of the disputed period in this case was within the taxable net. And based on that, because multiple periods, taxable and outside the tax purview, were clubbed in that order, the High Court in this case must, relying on some Privy Council decision, some English decision, said that no, this clubbing has not permissible, and hence the order was set aside. But Supreme Court, to my mind, has overturned the decision of High Court and has in fact said that if different assessment years could be easily split up and dissected, then items can be separated and taxed for different periods. So I think Supreme Court here allowed the taxability for the tax period out of the total period of dispute. And this in a way is going against the conclusion made by the High Court, because if in the current dispute of GST, if there is a month-wise or financial year-wise clubbing, demand, and then there is a total grand total, but individually for month or for particular financial year, if I am able to decide the amount, then relying on Caltex is not, to my mind, coming to the rescue of the High Court. And maybe I'm happy to get corrected, but my reading states that Caltex, in fact, is going against the conclusion about the High Court on limited aspect of that multiple assessment year and the splitting, etc. Nowhere in Caltex, Supreme Court is saying that the order should have been for each financial year, and it could not be for multiple financial year. So this is a Caltex, which to my mind is an incorrect observation taken to support the contention by the Honorable High Court. And then they have relied on 73.3 and 74.3, wherein the provisions talk about tax period. Okay. So now coming below, in making the aforesaid observation, the High Court was guided by the definition of the term tax period and the term return as defined under Section 2. And they have also relied the Titan decision of Madras High Court. Now again, I'm just, some of the observations are repetitive, but it will come, it will get, we all will get memorized with the observation. We find insofar as the time limit prescribed in 10 is concerned, it is 3 years and blah, blah, blah. Thus, by issuing the composite notice, next paragraph, next page, Arupji. Composite notice, the assessing authority cannot bypass the mandatory requirement of Section 73 to complete the assessment by falling back on larger period of limitation under 7410. If such a recourse is permitted, then certainly the said action would be a colorable exercise of the power conferred by the statute and will also offend express provision of CGST Act qua limitation. This reason would also prompt us to hold that in cases where the assessing officer finds that an assessee is liable to be proceeded either under 73 or 74 for different assessment year, a separate show cause notice has to be issued. So here, in a way, I'm in agreement with what High Court is saying, because in a subsequent show cause notice, you cannot invoke extended period of limitation, right? So if multiple show cause notice is issued for different financial years, Then for the first notice, 74 can be invoked, but for subsequent notices, 74 ideally cannot be invoked. There have been plethora of Supreme Court decision, including Nizam Sugar Factory and all those, where say that extended period cannot be invoked for subsequent tax period. So here, in a way, I am in agreement to some extent to what the High Court is saying. Now, coming to the next page, please scroll down. Next.
This one?
Yeah. Yes. So here they are, the High Court, the Council for Department pressed for Ambika Traders relied on Delhi High Court decision. So the Bombay High Court has distinguished the Delhi High Court decision, and what they have noted, the fact involved before the Delhi High Court being distinct and revolving around the wrongful claimed ITC, which was prescribed for the subsequent years, is quite distinct. Quite distinct from the facts which are before us. So they are saying that Delhi High Court Ambika Traders, which we will look into subsequent page, is on a different fact pattern, and the current fact pattern is different. Here again, and also they are saying that Ambika Traders SLP was withdrawn before the High Court, and said decision will not apply to the facts in the present case. So what happened? Ambika Traders, Delhi High Court pronounced the decision that bunching can be possible. Against that, the assessee went to the Supreme Court, and after arguing the matter for some time, it decided to withdraw the SLP filed before the Supreme Court. So as such, Ambika Traders, the SLP is not rejected or something like that. It is merely withdrawn. So it is not in a way binding precedent, and it is not even a speaking order on the issue. But coming back to the point that Delhi High Court, the Bombay High Court is distinguishing Delhi High Court that the facts were different. But facts were different, the law point is the same. So to my mind, the issue here is not about the facts, but on the law point, whether bunching can be possible. The facts could be anything, to whether it is bogus ITC or it is some other issue, classification issue. Facts can be different, but legal principle will apply across all the facts. This is my understanding. It can't be changing. Clubbing versus non-clubbing cannot change as per the facts which are there under the dispute. So to my mind, here also, I with due respect disagree. Just 1 second. I am getting a call again and again. Just 1 second.
So, any members of the house who have a view on this?
Sorry, a
what they-
caller
Yeah.
was disturbing me again and again.
No, it's okay. No,
Yeah.
Amitji,
So
in the meantime, Amitji,
here
in the
again, I
meantime-
feel that Bombay High Court, in a way, has distinguished on a different point.
Yeah.
Now, and
Amitji.
therefore, for the reason recorded above, we are overruling the objection of the department, and we find that there is no provision. I am referring to para 26. So we find that there is no provision to club various tax periods, and apart from the fact that it is also beyond the period of limitation, and it is without jurisdiction, and since it is judicial overreach, we quash and set aside the show cause notice. So this is in nutshell what the Bombay High Court has said. If anybody has any counter view to my understanding of the observations, we can discuss it right now, or if you want, we can take it together below. So I'll rush through the judgments. Now, next page, Arupji, it is a single member bench decision of Madras High Court, R. Asha Raja. Now, more or less the arguments above of Bombay High Court are repeated in this case.
Amit sir.
But there are
I
two
want-
more
I just wanted to
additional
just-
arguments.
Amit
That's
sir.
why I have taken this decision. Just scroll
Amitji.
down. Just come to para 9 and 10 of the
Amitji.
decision.
One sec. I just wanted to, yeah. So I'm saying that if there are any views of the house, maybe we can take it and then take it forward. I think any views on the house on
You have to
the.
scroll down.
Amitji, am I audible? Amitji.
Amit sir, shall I?
Am I audible?
Arubdas,
Yeah. Please. Yeah, Paul sir, yeah.
see, Amit see, actually, as long as that limitation is not hit, whether a single notice or a different split, there is no point. No, what is the use in arguing? That is my basic doubt, Amit. I am Paul Tangam from Coimbatore.
Sorry, what are you saying?
See, the single notice, single SCN covering multiple years, as long as all the notices, all the years are within the limitation, then there is no point in arguing or taking up that case. No, that is my view. See, again, if you are going to object it, they are going to give you a splitted notice, and then you have to give 3 replies. Instead of that, yes, they bunch it and then give that one notice, and then we give one reply. But all the years are within the time limit. So, is there any issue in that? That is what my question. Simple question only, sir.
That issue only we are dealing with, and somewhere in a way I am in agreement with you. I have taken all these points, so I'll rush through this. Asha Raja at para 22 and 23 of the decision, they have also highlighted, apart from what we discussed in Bombay High Court, para 22 and 23 of the decision, they are saying that as per section 128, which talks about amnesty, and as per section 138, which talks about compounding of offences, if a composite show cause notice is issued, and if the assessee wants to go for amnesty or compounding for a particular period within the multiple financial years, they will be not getting the benefit of that, and in a way the assessee is being put into disadvantageous situation. So these are the two additional arguments which are there in this Asha Raja case. So I'm not going through again the multiple same arguments which they have put in. Now coming to Kerala High Court decision, Arupji, next page. Yeah, Kerala High Court in case of Lakshmi Mobile Accessories, it is a February 25 decision. They have not referred to any other counter decisions while they have directly in the operative part of the order, it doesn't talk about any other issues. So if you could refer para 7 of the judgment, Lakshmi Mobiles, Kerala High Court. Yeah, I think this is Lakshmi Mobiles. Yeah, so para 7. So in between, if you see 6th line, in our view, consolidated show cause notice covering multiple financial assessment years can be issued only in circumstances where statutory provisions provide for a common period for initiation and completion of the adjudication. For instance, under Section 28 of Customs Act, a show cause notice invoking the extended period of limitation of 5 years has to cover a period of 5 years ending with the date of show cause notice. Similar was 11A. Under both the above provisions, the show cause notice issued irrespective whether it is covered a single financial year or multiple year has to be adjudicating within the fixed period of time. The scheme of adjudication is different in CGST Act. So it is in a way, the Kerala High Court is saying that Central Excise Act, Customs Act, and even to my mind, Service Tax Act, the assessment scheme was different than what is there in the GST Act. I again here I have a different point of view than the Honorable Kerala High Court because I feel that Finance Act 1994, that is Service Tax, and Customs 11A are more or less similar to Section 73 and 74. There they are not using the word tax period and whatever, but there also the show cause notice could have been issued within period of 5 years from the return filing date, and in service tax returns were half yearly, 2 returns. So what we used to get service tax notice say for 6 years, and there was a demand which was computed for each of the years. So we used to file the appeal saying that out of the total period of dispute in service tax, this period is beyond 5 years, so that demand should be quashed, and this is within the limitation. And we used to file another CA certificate or in the paper book while arguing the service tax matters. And that time, nowhere it was argued that this bunching is not possible. I feel that it is somewhere same. I'm not going line by line into both the definitions. Okay, if you scroll down, the High Court also says that if multiple notices are bunched together, the total just below, yes, last paragraph, a consolidated notice will also result in consolidated adjudication order covering several years, and in the event of being adverse to the assessee, the fee or pre-deposit required to be paid by an assessee for preferring a statutory appeal would also be higher. Now, again, this is an imaginary situation, because if consolidated matter is decided or 3 matters are separately decided, the ultimate pre-deposit would, to my mind, same. But they have in a way gone into this. And now next decision is of Ambika Traders, which is support of Delhi High Court, which supports the bunching of show cause notice. This is in case of bogus credit, fraudulent credits. So if you just scroll down, I've directly put para 43, where the High Court has discussed bunching of multiple financial years. So if you go to para 45, just niche. Yeah. So the Delhi High Court is saying thus section 74.34, 73.34 use the term for any period and for such periods. This would be in contrast with the language used in 73.10 and 74.10, which use the term financial year. Okay. So High Court is observing that 74.3 and 4 and 73.3 and 4 use such periods or any period. It is not using financial year. And next page, and suddenly it has started. The legislature is thus conscious of the fact that insofar as wrongly availed ITC is concerned, the notice can relate to period and need not be for specific financial year. I don't know from where the reading is coming. I tried to read today morning 74.10 2-3 times, that is there anything coming out separately for ITC the way High Court is saying, but I have not seen any such case. So in a way, Delhi High Court is saying that because it is ITC, and also it is saying that ITC fraud spans in multiple financial years, and we cannot understand the true nature of fraud unless it is looked at together. Therefore, because it is ITC matter, we can allow bunching in multiple financial year. That is what the High Court is saying. Now, this decision is of July 25. Nowhere in this decision the contradictory High Court decisions are being referred to. while it says that it appears that it is not brought to the notice of the High Court. So that is the issue in Ambika Traders. So whether it becomes per incurium because it is not looking at contradictory High Court decisions, while this is because this is a central act and there has to be uniformity. So if Ambika Traders had to conclude this way, it should have given observations or disagreement on contradictory view by other high courts. But unfortunately, they have not referred. So whether the Delhi High Court becomes a binding precedent in its jurisdiction is something to be looked at, or that is what it is. Then next page, Arupji, is Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir High Court, new GN and Sons. Now directly, if you go a little below in the document, para 12. Yeah. Para 12, here the arguing counsel had shown the couple of judgments passed by various high courts, contradictory judgments. So in this case, the High Court says that we'll avert to the judgments later. But in the operative para of order, there are no mention about those contradictory judgments, and there is no discussion by the High Court on those judgments. So maybe in the open court, they may have looked at it. Now, come to para 37 of this JNK order. Scroll down, Arupji. Yeah. So, from the reading of the para 37 of the judgment, from the reading of the entire CGST Act, one would not find any prohibition for issuing one composite show cause notice for multiple financial years. Section 73 and 74 would only require that the period of demand must be specified. Show cause notice must be issued within limitation. The notice must contain clear grounds, specific allegations, and year-wise quantification. If the aforesaid requirements are met, there would be no bar in bunching of financial years, more particularly when the requirement of principle of natural justice is adequately met. We are thus of considered opinion that the composite show cause notice cannot be held invalid if there is a year-wise breakup of tax, interest, and penalty. The allegations are not vague, each period is within the limitation, and the notice is speaking and detailed one. So somewhere I feel that while JNK order doesn't talk about other counter opinions, but on first principle basis, the observation appears to be correct. And that is how our learned brother from Coimbatore, sorry, I forgot the name, had spoken about it just now.
Paul, sir.
Yeah. Now coming to the open questions. So this is the entire controversy. We have multiple decisions, more on the point that batching is not allowed or clubbing is not allowed, bunching is not allowed, and two Delhi High Court and two JNK High Court, which I could find in Excus. There may be many more, I don't know. Now, Arup ji, नीचे आइए please. So I have tabulated the questions which are open, or नीचे, yes. Open questions, maybe the August House can add to more questions which may come up. These are the questions which came up to my mind. Why is this issue coming for the first time in the GST regime, whether earlier central excise and service tax regime allowed this clubbing of multiple financial year in one SEN? How are the provisions contained therein different? So if you see, I've extracted 7310 of the Finance Act. So it talks about relevant date within which the show cause notice was to be issued. So here it says that in the case of taxable service, in respect of which service tax has not been levied or paid or has been short levied or short paid, where under the rules made under periodical return showing particular tax paid during the period to which said return relates is to be filed by an assessee, the date on which such return is so filed. So again, relevant date is calculated from the date from which the return is filed or the due date for which the return is to be filed. But never ever it was argued that the show cause notice should be for that particular return for which the limitation is calculated. I think this financial year due date of the return is more for calculating the time limit within which the order or SCN needs to be passed. It is nowhere talking about clubbing, and this become more clear from my point number 2. What was the situation under the VAT Act? So I could get hold of Maharashtra VAT Act section 2410. So there I have extracted the bare act, bare text from the section. It says that, and sorry, this is not section 2410, it is section 2310. Section 23, subsection 10 of Maharashtra Value Added Tax Act 2002. A dealer or person may be assessed under a single notice and by a single order of assessment in respect of more than one period covered by a return, so long as all such periods are comprised in 1 year. So it clearly says that it can be for part of the year or for a complete year. It cannot go beyond a particular financial year. This is not the language which is used in the CGST Act or the SGST Acts. So, therefore, relying on this provision in Maharashtra Value Added Tax, one can argue that since this kind of direct stopping is not there in the GST Act, clubbing should be allowed. So if Bombay High Court is saying there is no provision which allows clubbing, I would say that there is no provision which also says that clubbing is not possible, the way MVAT Act is saying. So I'm sure a similar provision like 2310 of MVAT Act must be there in other state acts also. While I'm not an income tax expert, I spoke to one of the senior who argues in income tax tribunals that what is the situation under Indian income tax. So he says that generally Indian income tax doesn't contain specific provision of that you can't issue multiple financial year order, but generally they also in income tax have one assessment year, one order. There is no bunching. So directly Income Tax Act is not coming to our rescue. Now, another point number 4 is how the doctrine of precedent will be applied in the case of assessees falling in jurisdiction of Delhi High Court and J&K High Court, where the order is there, and about in other states where there is no specific order this way or that way. So to my mind, Delhi High Court order, to the extent it is not stayed by Supreme Court or by any larger bench, and same for J&K, it becomes the binding precedent for the authorities below in the state of Delhi and in state of J&K. So the orders of Bombay High Court or others may not come to the rescue of the assessees in that case. Okay, and with the courts in the states where no order is passed this way or that way, then since there are contradictory decisions, the decision which is in favor of the assessee can be considered as binding precedent or having a strong persuasive value. So again, this is something to be looked at. There are only 2 minutes left. I will just rush through it. Point number 6. Why should we press this argument in all the disputes? To my mind, again, if we are going to file a same reply for multiple years, appear 3 times in the proceedings, and I feel that we shouldn't be taking this argument unless we don't have any other argument on merits or otherwise, because what High Court will do, it will say that we have to reissue the notices and all that, and again we have to go through the grind of the litigation. So we may have to selectively use this argument, to my mind. And then I think, Arupji, there are the observations which I've already discussed from Milrock and other judgments during the discussion, and this is Caltech's summary which I had put for reference. So that's it on the issue. I've concluded 1 minute before the allotted time, and I'm giving 1 minute to sir for vote of thanks.
Yes. Thank you for the precise timing. I think that speaks a lot about your speaking. So I think that thank you for the entire deliberation. And as it was discussed, I think you have given us both the sides, the right side and the wrong side, meaning whether bunching is proper, not proper, why not proper. Because I feel that whenever we are going to argue at the tribunal stage or the High Court stage, these counter arguments are also very important for us to understand if we are taking these grounds from the show cause notice stage. Now, as inquired by Paul Thangam sir, I think he's right. In many of the cases, our clients are saying that when we are, like when they are hearing about this bunching of orders and then the matter is remanded back to the original authority to again issue the notice if limitation is there. So they are asking the, advantage of taking the entire legal dispute. So as sir has rightly pointed out, only if limitation period is over and where the court strictly says, like Bombay High Court has in one of the matters strictly said that the notice has to be issued as per limitation without giving any other liberty. In that case, I think it is of advantage. Otherwise, it's a huge legal exercise which needs to be done. But maybe the end result would be that you have to ultimately answer. So taking that. So I would also request Venuji to share his concluding remarks and also the vote of thanks. Venuji, over to you.
Arupta sir, just one request
Yes,
if
sir,
I'm
yes, sir.
audible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, this was a topic which deserved attention, and thanks for bringing this topic for a detailed discussion. So, like you said, multiple decisions have been covered. But I feel a lot of members have a lot of things to say and discuss on this.
Okay.
We could hear from the views like Paul sir, Nilesh sir, and some other members also.
Yes.
Questions left open by Amit ji also. So, if someone can take a lead for one another session on the same topic, and we can, that should be more about the members' discussions, how they are putting up the queries and all that. And in that only, my one submission would be that there is one Allahabad High Court judgment,
Yes.
SA Aromatics,
Yes, yes,
which
sir.
is an interesting judgment on this subject.
Yes.
That is a recent. Another important thing is that is very recent, announced in January 2026 only. So if you can just coordinate the efforts, if someone can take up, it is for the organizers.
Okay, sir. Okay. We'll do that, sir. We'll just plan it. We'll plan a round 2 of this bunching of orders. Yes. So, Venuji, over to you.
I think he has left the session. I don't know.
Yeah, there are some questions, but as Gurjit sir has shared, maybe we can compile your questions, those questions, and then have a second session on this. So that's a good idea. And Justice, I think Piyush Agarwal sir has authored the recent judgment, so we'll go through that also. So I think Venuji is not there.
Okay, on behalf of I shall thank him, sir.
Yeah, please, Paul sir, please. I was just going to share your name. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Proxy for Venu, sir. Yes, sir.
No,
Amit, sir.
You're an important member, sir. Please, sir.
Sir, the session was very, very interesting. So the various points that were discussed, that was very, very nice. You have taken a lot of efforts, sir. A lot of efforts for bringing these various judgments to our knowledge, sir. It was, as usual, the SMS is very, very useful and the knowledge enriching sessions. Thank you for giving this presentation to us, sir. Thanks on behalf of the whole group, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Amiti. Thank you very much. And thanks to all the participants. So we'll meet next week at 9 a.m. sharp on Zoom again. Till then, have a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you.